Hey guys, BwPA bringing you another commentary Mythic Plus video. Today we're taking a look at a 24 fortified Dawn of Infinite's lower here, so the Fall of Galakrond. I am running the what I've dubbed the Clawing Wounds build, which is a bit different than our standard one. It relies heavily, as you can see up here, on spamming Clawing Shadows. It's a fun alternative new build that generally does a little bit more AoE, but a lot less single target. You can see my gear is up here. I got my talents over another side. Let's just do as normal. Let's talk about my choices, the kind of planning I have for each pool, how I use my cooldowns, that kind of thing. And then just trickle in some tips and tricks you can use when you do this dungeon yourself to both optimize your survivability, but also your damage. This first pool, we are sending everything. I top 1.8 million there, I think. It was pretty juicy. This build has a quadratic scaling component due to the amount of wounds we burst, right? We have our pet dealing AoE damage, which then applies wounds in AoE. We have Defile applying wounds in AoE. And then when we burst those with Skirt Strike, essentially, if we double the number of targets, we double the number of wounds, and we double the number of hits the wounds actually do when we burst them. So that's why it ends up quadratic. So lots of damage there. The general vibe you'll see here is that I'll be popping down my Definic, or Defile in this scenario, and then spam Long Shadows, and then I use Epidemic as like a filler spell. Anyway, we kill our first pack. I used all my cooldowns, we used Bloodlust and everything, so I just commit all I have. This pack is just about to die here, so I probably won't commit like another Unholy Assault or so. We need that for the boss. Our boss damage is really lackluster here. So in general, we see we have a Demon Hunter and we have a Mage here. I will do more damage than Demon Hunter in general on the AoE pools, but then he's just gonna do so much more in the single target that I end up, far behind him. We come to the boss here. I'm gonna deal with the spitefuls here. So this build now deals really well with them because I'm running Grip of Dead, as you could have seen earlier when I showed the talents, which means that if I have my Defile down, the spiteful just slowed so much, right? Really great. However, there are other tools we can use. Chains of Ice is great to slow them. We have Blinding Sleet to temporarily drop them and slow them. And then we can also use like Death Grip to help our teammates out. This specific boss, we have a couple of tips we can use. So AMS is good for the Sand Stomp, especially since you can use AMS and run into existing area and put your Sand Stomp there. Like, it doesn't really matter that much here, but it's something to do to be a bit more efficient. I have my army coming back up here in 20 seconds. I am probably, oh, here we go. AMS, move into existing area. You take 0 damage, right? That's how it works. So I have my army coming back up here. I'm probably going to hold off for it a little bit so I can time it with my Unholy Assault so I get most of the overlap there. So we can see here, I know that army is 30 seconds and Unholy Assault's going to be 20. So I know 10 seconds before Unholy Assaults come off, I can use my army. I actually don't remember this run, so I'm just assuming. There we go. Army's coming down. And then we're going to be able to time it with our other cooldowns here. So we go Apocalypse, Unholy Assault, Blight, and DT being used as well. And the boss is, dropping quite relatively quickly. I'm not that far behind the Demon Hunter, but we also pulled the previous pack into this boss. So I'm getting carried by that damage, essentially. This boss is going to die soon, and we're going to move on to the next area, which is by far the most dangerous area of this dungeon. It is quite tricky on Fortified, just because of that place, because everything just deals so much damage. By the way, these little circles obviously need to be soaked, otherwise it will just be one shot immediately. Right, boss dead. We move on to the next pack. You can see I have all my cooldowns ready. We have Blight, DT, Formation Limb, and Apocalypse. So I'm just going to send those immediately on my first pool. As a general rule, you'll see that I never save cooldowns for like the big next pool. Always just use them. Because time moves quickly in Mythic Plus dungeon, and you'll be surprised how quickly you actually lose out on casts. Alright, so we've got this single dude. He's really scary, so we're just going to take him on his own. I'm actually committing Abomination Limb here. Again, right, Abomination Limb doesn't do much single target damage, but I feel like I might as well use it because then I'll have it back up later, right? If I hold it, this boss is going to take like a minute. That's already half Abomination Limb I would have lost if I hold it. Or maybe not a minute, I lied, but still 30 seconds, 40 seconds. It's probably going to be roughly a minute until we pull the next pack, you know, ish. Alright, that dies. We're now going to chill a bit. Alright, it's going to be a good big pull here. We're going to start as normal with the file. Going to help try and gather up the mobs here. I thought I was going to grip, but yeah. Right, we pop down the file, use all our cooldowns, and then start this Claw and Shadow spam. You need to be careful with your pet these weeks, because Spiteful, your pet loves to hit Spiteful. And what normally happens is that you kill the pack, you spawn a set Spiteful, and the tank runs off as you follow in, and the Spiteful kind of sits behind you and dies automatically. They have an effect where they take a percentage of damage every second, so they will die on their own without you having to actually actively kill them. Now, if your pet aggro's them, it's going to sit in them until they die and end up being far behind you if you were running in advance. So it's a good idea to make sure you put your pet on passive so that it follows you, and then put it back to assist when you reach the next pack. So you don't end up in situations where your pet is just miles back and you press start exclamation and you realize, oh, hang on, my chain is just 100 yards behind me and my pet is taking ages to catch up. Not a good situation to be in. So make sure you properly manage your pet during Spiteful weeks. That's all I'm saying. Alright, we managed to kill that pack off. Go into the next one. Same as before. Start out with Defile, send all my cooldowns. You can see I Apocalypse here with only 2 wounds. That is what we do. Like, we do not care how many ghouls we spawn. All we care about is getting our Maguses out, Magi, early, so they can start doing damage. You can see here I have my weak aura pack. Oops. Up there. It shows you the duration of the Magi, and you can see, like in this pack, they lost the entirety of it. I also commit my army here as soon as it came back up again, as I normally do. I would honestly probably have it for like midway through the next boss, so I can have a look at my blood loss counter. It's 3 minutes. If it's more than 3 minutes, you can always 100% safely use army. Because the only scenario where you actually want to hold army is potentially to get blood loss value from it. So I know, alright, I can safely hold it now, so no problemo. Whew, I'm sending in lots of really bad things. Obviously, we're running Defile, so there will be some accidents happening here where we don't actually see the mechanics. You know, we just have to deal with it. This pack, you can see I'm kind of running out on Defile charges here. So what I'm doing is I'm tabbing between the mobs, applying Festering Strike, filling in with Epidemic, and then when I'm done that for a while, I can then pop down my Defile and do the normal Cleave. Unfortunately, the Demon Hunter seems to be doing quite well here, but I'm still top for now. I won't be top at the end of the dungeon, unfortunately. So he's going to end up with a high overall, but it's going to be close. And, you know, we are getting buffs on Tuesday for you Americans. And I think this video is going to be released on Tuesday, so, you know, happy buff day for you. Anyway, if we had the buffs there, I probably would have done more damage than him, I think. Alright, so, going to go to the next pack. You can see there what I did was I actually started by doing some festa tabbing, because I knew, okay, he's going to pull these 2 guys and then get into the rest of them, so I'm not going to commit my Defile just yet. So I do a bit of setup, and then when I come into and go for the pack, I will do more damage because of that. Generally though, like, tank runs in, you're just going to go Defile and start cleaving immediately. Not that many tips on this trash pack, like, obviously kick the Innovate. If you get the debuff, I can't remember, there's some really nasty debuffs there, so make sure you have AMS for those so that you don't die. They're mostly magical ones. So we're able to finish up the area though without too many deaths. Still a couple, but you know, we are so incredibly tanky, so we're not the ones dying. Alright, great. So you can see we have 25 seconds left on Bloodlust. I have 1 minute 40 on Army, which is good enough. Like, Army will be back for Bloodlust in this scenario, kind of. At least I will get most of the time. Going to boss, we're just going to send our cooldowns immediately. Gonna chill here in the slow area. For this boss, the tips for Unholy is to use AMS whenever the debuffs come out to help the healer kind of cope with them. Alright, so we have Bloodlust coming. I'll be sending my Death Goals here, reducing my cooldown on Army. I won't get full value. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sleeping there. There we go. But you can see we send Army with 25 seconds left. So you get most of it. Army lost for 30 seconds. So, you know, I lose a little bit of value. Probably should have held my other CDs. Oh, but they do come up here, so I get most of the value from them. So it ends up fine in the end. You can see here I'm being really greedy with my Army timings, but it's working out in the end. And I think it's going to work out for you as well if you follow that kind of school of thought. Still, you can see damage down here. I'm far behind than the others. 145k, and both of these guys are at 180. That's too bad, but that's just this build, really. I'll deal with the trash, they can deal with the boss. That's the kind of vibe I'm going for. Alright, boss going down smoothly. I like to go counter... Is it clockwise? Yeah, clockwise. Some people say that you should go the other way around. I think it's reading chat here because I suddenly decided I should go the other way around to try it out. I think both methods work fine, whatever you're comfortable with, honestly. You can see here I commit my AMS for the when the debuffs come out. You obviously want to stagger the dispelling of those. So the healer will dispel one and try and heal everyone up, and then the other one will go away. Alright, now we're trying the doing the balls the other way around. Bit more movement here, but honestly that works completely fine as well. Alright. Currently faded, I stand in the fast area. A Death Struck here to help out my healer to make sure I don't die, and he can commit healing at other players here. But yeah, boss is dead. We're on to the next pack. Right, so what we're going to do now is going to try and skip the dragon here, which you can do. So what you do is you go through this portal. Once you're at the end, stand completely still and mount up. You'll see they didn't really do that here, so one would have moved to the right. The thing is that the dragon triggers when you move. There we go. So maybe I triggered it, to be honest. I don't know. If you all move together, you will skip this guy and be fine. You can see he pulled, but it's fine for us. He's gonna die. We're gonna go through the portal and end up when they rest, they're actually gonna spawn in the other area. So easy peasy. Not the smoothest of skips, but it worked. Someone moved. I think I honestly triggered it there, so my bad, sorry. Anyway, you go through this gate at the ice area, and once you've done that, the other people will be able to rest. Alright. Here's a big pool. Let's see how high we can go in the damage. I think I should have used Dark Transformation early on that pool. You want to use Dark Transformation early so it starts doing its wound application AoE. But yeah, it's kind of fine too, but yeah. I probably would have done more than Demon Hunter if I did that. Infected Claws means that your pet has a 30% chance to apply a wound on your target if it does its claw attack. But the claw attack in AoE is Super Claws when you press Dark Transformation. So essentially, every time it does that, and it does it quite frequently, there's a 30% chance individually in each mob that you apply it. Which is quite a lot. So if you have 10 mobs, that's around 3 wounds every time it does it. If you have 20, that's 7. And if it does it like 3 times in a row, you know, that's a lot of wounds. We can keep track on how many wounds we burst by having a look at our Festamite buff. You can see that. So I went in, I popped Apocalypse and 1 Clone Shadows, and I was at 16. And then another Clone Shadows, I went to 20. So that's just the big number of wounds we pop. There's also so much strength buffs, right? Fester Might just stacks up, and it means that our Clawing Shadows hits like a truck. Alright, we're just killing this dragon. Going on. Did we kill both of them at the same time? No, we have to kill the other one, and then we do the next boss. The next boss is such a pain. It deals so much damage. So even though this is fortified, it's really dangerous. Especially the debuff he sends on you, which you have to kind of juggle between yourselves. Again, I felt like, so I played more today with this build, and I'm now pressing Dark Transformation earlier, which I like more. So I felt like I hadn't really quite figured out the proper way of playing it, because I'm quite used to playing Disease build where you do Blight before Dark Transformation, so that probably lingers still. Also to clarify, I'm not saying this build is better, I'm just saying that it's an alternative and it's fun to play, so do give it a go, see what you think about it, you know. I'm not telling you what to do, you can decide yourself what you'd like to do. Alright, this guy's about to go down and we're going to move on to the boss. So we have army up in like 3 minutes-ish, so hopefully we're going to be able to use that in the final phase, so we can get some nice priority damage and make sure we kill the boss, because that last phase can be quite dangerous. Alright, so tips and tricks for this fight. Well, AMS is good because when you get this corrosive infusion, it hurts so much, that dot. So if you do get it, either if you plan to get it, pop AMS beforehand so you don't just die very quickly. Or if you do get it accidentally, pop AMS to mitigate the dot damage. You can also use AMS to run across those little puddles on the floor. That is not that important, to be honest. So I would definitely just use it to handle the Blight debuff. Otherwise, phase 1 is pretty easy. He moves on to 80%. Phase 2, this is the tricky part. So this guy, he has this tornado spell, where it throws out tornadoes and pushes you back. You use disadvantage to avoid a knockback there, which is pretty nice. You can see here, I think, did I take it? Yeah. So I almost immediately dropped to like half health. Definitely a good idea to also commit AMS for the Necrotic Winds. They do deal a lot of damage, and it's probably a good idea to maybe weave in a couple of Death Strikes, 1 or 2, if you feel like a healer is struggling to cope. This fight, or this phase lasts until 50%. I'm going to do a ridiculously low amount of damage because I'm saving my army. But that's kind of fine, because at the end I will, come a bit closer to my mage and demon hunter mates. Alright. So the pattern here is quite easy, where the winds kind of move out from the boss. In the first instance is safe in the second instance, right? So you can kind of just kite right and left over and over again. Alright, so soon at 50%, which is great. We have a lot of part of the runes being covered here, so he's going to transition very quickly. There we go. And now we're going to have 2 bosses. So here I'm going to pop my army, all my cooldowns. I'm going to leverage my defile and cleave as much as possible. Alright. Sending everything, going to pop down defile, and then I'm going to spam Clawing Shadows. So on 2 targets, you don't need any wounds, really, to be hitting Clawing Shadows. It's better to just spam it on the 2 targets. And as I said before, we will passively... Okay, technically, it's best to have at least 1 wound when you hit Clawing Shadows. But the thing is that we generate so many runes passively that it's kind of fine, honestly. In big pools, we get loads every second. Here, we'll just generate them passively over and over again. So, don't have to care that much about actually having wounds on the targets. So, when the file's down, you can spam it. Yeah. I think it's technically true that it would be better to actually have wounds on one of them, but it doesn't matter that much. Like, ideally, you set up wounds before your defile window, and then you pop down defile and you burst them all, and then you set up more, and then pop down defile. But it's not much time there, so I like to just pop down defile and spam Clawing Shadows. Easy peasy. Alright, so, yeah, they gap me by like 10 million damage here, so... We're not the best single target DPSs, are we? We make up for it with AoE, but yeah, it's kind of a one-dimensional build here because sure you do a lot of AoE, but can you get by doing that little on single target? I don't know. Anyway, what's left now is we're gonna kill a double pack here. Great for me. I have most of my cooldowns ready on Holy Assault with everything else, and then we're gonna kill the final boss. So I think the tank had to BRB here quickly, which is why we are waiting. So I'm just gonna skip forward. Okay. This trash pack, they do this, I think it's a stone bolt actually. So if you let that through, it deals a ton of damage. So if you do get it on you, make sure to use a defensive like AMS. I think it does magic damage. Saying that I actually don't know. I haven't done this key enough to actually, yeah. I think it does magic damage. There we go, I have it on me. No, it does, okay, never mind, it does physical damage. So you have to use Icebound Fortitude here to actually mitigate it. I noticed because I got it, obviously, I used AMS, and it just went straight through it, which means that it does physical. So there you go. Alright, that's going to die. We're going to use an Invis Potion. I'm going to make sure I do not have my Corrupting Flask on. If you Invis without on, it can actually trigger the toxic effect, which brings you straight out of Invis. Bad idea. Dismiss your pet. Do not alarm the others. Like, if you Invis with a pet, the pet doesn't Invis, so it's actually going to pull and die. It's going to be fine for you because you won't be in combat, but still, it's better to just dismiss it. Alright, they're going to have to rest this guy. So let's just bring that forward. And here we have the boss. Not too much we can do here. The ads that spawn are grippable, so we're going to do our best to help out with those. Other than that, we're going to try and use our army. Alright, obviously we would have wanted to have army here on pool, but we can't. We have the next best thing, which is going to be the army when we get the haste buff. So after you help protect our Chromie, there we go, gives you a haste buff. Now, there we go, for 25 seconds. So also good to just time your cooldowns with that. Get some nice damage out. And you can see it bursts a relatively large amount. You get lots of good value from your Magi. I think I died from these, by the way. The trick with these guys is to just stand at the appropriate distance away from the boss. It's better to stand further away, because as to move out, yeah, here we go. Whoops. Alright, I'm back at it. Anyway, you just want to stand further away so that you end up with a small gap between the old kind of path and the new one. Because you don't want to move into the old path too quickly because it deals ticking damage. So you just stand essentially at max range to the boss, and that allows you to quickly kind of dodge it without taking any damage at all. Alright, the boss is at 97% health. This is a real killer. I can't imagine when you do this on high tyrannical. Jesus Christ, because he puts a shield on yourself that you have to break on a timer. So the slower you are, you see the grip by the way, the longer the boss takes, because it's essentially as if he heals frequently on a timer. So like if it's a high tyrannical, it's just gonna take absolutely ages to kill this boss, because it's gonna take like more than a minute each shield phase, and then you're gonna have some time in between, and it's yeah, we'll see. We'll see next week when I do this on tyrannical. Alright, so get another barrage, and then we're gonna deal with one more Earth Surge. It's gonna be good here. So the this boss is actually tricky in the final phase. So once you get him to 90%, you enter this phase where he does a cast, and if he finishes that cast, you wipe. So you have to kill him in that phase. By the way, you can now see that I'm much further away from the boss, which means it's much easier to actually dodge these Earths, because I can just go stand next to the old one. There we go. And I don't need to overlap or anything, or stand in the ground effect. So that's much better. Anyway, what I was saying is that if he finishes the final cast, you wipe, but you do get some, I think it's haste or damage buff. So It's a good idea, especially on higher keys, to make sure you have a lot of burst for that, because otherwise you're just going to wipe, because it's quite a strict DPS requirement. Alright, just one more of these. I'm going to help out gripping the ads. He still has 2% health, so I feel like I'm kind of safe to use some of my CDs here. We are going to want to kill him before his next Earth Search, which is in 35 seconds. So that shouldn't be too difficult, I think. 91% health. I'll get the extinction. You can always use AMS here, but I don't think it does that much damage. Yeah, very small amount of damage. There's not that much you can AMS here. It's a very scripted fight in that sense that you just need to dodge the abilities, and if you do, it's kind of fine. You can AMS that one, of course. It does do quite a lot of damage. Alright, you managed to push him just before. So now I'm going to pop all my cooldowns, and he does his Cataclysmic Obliteration, and you get around, I think it's 30 seconds to kill him. So it's good timer for using army, because that's 30 seconds. I think we're very close, so he needs to go to 85%. Okay. Nah, that was not close. Alright, we had like 40% left. Anyway, I would have had the damage breakdown up here, so you could have seen that. You can see it's loads of Clawing Shadows, right? Didn't manage to beat the Demon Hunter, primarily because I'm so bad at single target, but you know, still a fun build. Exciting to time at 24. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below, let me know what you thought about this video. Upvote, downvote, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.